Do you find it hard to express your emotions? Do you find it hard to open up and speak about how you're feeling? Do you find it hard to cry? Often we suppress our emotions and feelings, and this can actually be detrimental and worse for our emotional and physical well-being. So it is actually really healthy to have a good cry, and it's really healthy to speak about what's on your mind. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. Society has told us that we need to keep things bottled up. Don't speak how you're feeling. It's wrong to be vulnerable, and it's wrong to cry. Even as children, we're told, stop crying, don't be childish. But this is detrimental for our physical health. If we bottle up things, if we don't speak or if we don't purge through crying, it can lead to blocks in our health. You know, if we cry, it's been proven that crying releases oxytocin and endorphins and actually can alleviate pain. So, you know, we've been told, you know, especially for men as well, don't cry. It's not masculine to cry. But I've seen this with women as well. I've had people tell me that they haven't cried in years, and I'm like, ow. How much tension are you holding in your body? Because crying is a release. Crying is a way to get toxins out. Because in fairness, our wounding, our trauma, anything we've been through, abuse, etc., that is toxic. That is toxic within our bodies. And the only way to release it is through crying, purging, screaming even. You know, I love, like, when I have a good purge, I will scream out my tears. And it actually, you'll feel a ton lighter afterwards. You know, and this really, it's this whole patriarchal system of you have to be so solid and you cannot speak about anything or you're deemed as weak. Vulnerability is a fucking superpower. It takes strength and courage to cry. It takes strength and courage to speak about what's on your mind. You know, and mental health still gets fucking shunned upon. You know, we're shamed for it. Like, I remember when I first had mental health issues, I was embarrassed. I was like, I don't want to be seen as someone who has depression and anxiety. You know, I don't want to be seen as crazy. And that's what I thought. But it's not. We all suffer from different kind of mental health issues throughout our lives because we're living out of alignment. And if we don't speak about these things, this leads to a lot of built up tension. It's like a volcanic eruption, or as I said before, that pressure cooker. It's gonna explode. You know, and I remember, like, you know, I went through a phase in my late teens of not talking about my emotions to my friends because I thought it was a burden. So I didn't express myself. I didn't cry much, and I was just like, you know, I don't want to seem like I need help, or, you know, I don't want to, you know, overburden anyone with my problems. So I'm just not going to speak. But once a month, it would happen. I would get excessively drunk. I would drink so much because of the built up shit inside me. And guess what would happen? I would fucking explode, but in a negative way. I would get angry. I would get aggressive. I got violent through alcohol because I had bottled everything up inside me. Whereas if we take moments of release, if we cry, if we speak about how we're feeling, it can actually prevent things like that. You know, if we're bottling up stuff as well, like, it's not just alcohol we can turn to. We can turn to drugs, you know, excessive smoking. We can turn to gambling, any kind of addiction, or even overworking. You know what I mean? A lot of people do that as well, is that they'll actually take on extra hours in work so as not to spend time on their own. And this is the thing, right? You know, therapy is brilliant. Like, people are ashamed to think, I don't need a therapist, We all need a fucking therapist, to be honest with you. Or talk to yourself. It's that simple. Because you need to talk to somebody. And, like, you know, I was doing this myself. I talk to myself every day. I'm a self-therapist to myself. But when I actually have started opening up to my female friends again, I actually feel so much lighter. Yes, I can self-therapize. Yes, it helps me. But actually, when I share my problem, a problem shared is a fucking problem halved. It really is. You know what I mean? We take for granted how important it is to actually share what's on our minds. And this is the thing, you know, we think we're going to burden someone. We think, you know, I'll be fine, I'll deal with it on my own. Or, you know, it's easier this way. It's not easier. It's not easier to keep it bottled up. It really isn't. And, you know, I remember, like, therapy can be scary. Or even coaching can be scary. Do you know what I mean? And I remember years ago, I first tried therapy and it did not work. Your one sat in the corner in complete silence, and I was just like, what the fuck? This is really uncomfortable. I don't like it. And I didn't go back. I didn't. I actually went to group sessions instead, which is actually really helpful. And don't get me wrong, initially in the group sessions, I was sitting there going, I'm mental theory, I'm an alcoholic. Because I didn't, and so sorry for taking the piss there, but I was in that frame of mind going, this isn't going to fucking work. What am I doing in group therapy session for anxiety and depression? But the minute the first person started talking, I was like, oh my God, they're just like me. And to have that knowing that you're not on your own is so amazing, especially for anxiety or depression. And a few years later, I actually went to a different therapist for a specific trauma. And she saved my life. She saved my life and helped me heal from that trauma. But she also made me realize I was in a nature toxic relationship. So, you know, it really does help to have, like, and especially if you're in a toxic relationship or in a toxic dynamic of any kind. You know what I mean? You're fighting with your own mind. You're kind of going, yeah, it could be this, but maybe it's not, and everything will be okay. Like, you know, especially if you have a narcissistic boss or a narcissistic partner, you're literally going to yourself, you're sugarcoating everything. You're like, no, it's supposed to be this way. It's fine. And they isolate you from your friends and family anyway. So that's the thing with me. Like, when I was in that narcissistic relationship, I didn't have my friends to talk to and ask, you know, well, actually, whenever I did talk to my friends, they would say it was toxic, but then I'd forget because I was drunk. But anyway, you know, they isolate you so you don't have anyone to talk to. And then when you do talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, you're not in a good place here. This is not good. And this is what you need. You need to share that experience. And, like, you know, we're going through an awakening journey. And it is very isolating. So isolating. And you do question your sanity. You question, are you normal? You question, you know, what's wrong with me? You know, because everyone around you seems so different now. And to actually have a like-minded friend or community online to actually share these problems with is so, so beneficial. Or, you know, watching videos or anything like that you can relate to. Watching energy updates. You know, they're so, so beneficial because especially with the Awakening Journey, we're going through an existential spiritual crisis in a sense. Because we're being faced with all our traumas from past lives and from this life, and all of it comes in all at once. And we're doing a lot of healing. So it can feel like, you know, this is just, it feels like too much. So being able to talk about that, being able to release it, and, you know, through the dark night of the soul or through any of this spiritual depression, crying is so good. Releasing is so good. Breath work is actually so good for that. To actually scream and cry out your trauma is such a beneficial way to heal yourself. It really is. And, you know, speaking about, like, you know, I used to be fierce. I was the helper for a long time, and I still am, obviously. But I was very, very hard. I was so independent, nearly toxically independent, that I was like, I don't need help. I'm not going to ask anyone for help. I'm fine. I self-therapize every day, which is very healthy. Talking to yourself is really good. But I stopped talking to people. You know, I've been hurt so much, and I'd walked away from so many dynamics that I was afraid to open up to people again. Really afraid. Because I was just afraid to be hurt again. And I just stopped telling people my problems. You know, I had a couple of close friends, but I never told them my problems. I always was like, you know, I'm fine. Fucking hate that word. Anyway, but, like, a friend of mine actually helped me realize that I actually needed friendship. Proper friendship. I had friendship, but I wasn't allowing it in. And, like, my heart was closing up completely. It was turning to stone because I wasn't letting people in. And the minute I started to open up to my girlfriends again, I'm literally like a ton lighter. I really am. You know, as I said, I talk to myself every day. I work through my shit every day. I cry, not as often as I did because I'm healing better, but anytime I'm going through a big purge or a big healing, you know, energy, I will cry a lot. And I cry a lot. I'm not afraid to admit that I cry. I will cry watching stuff that's happy. I'll cry watching things that are sad. I'll cry watching ad breaks. I just I'm an emotional person, and I'm not, you just know, people are just like, oh, you're so emotional, you're so sad. No, I'm a healthy kind of emotional. You know what I mean? I actually have feelings that I express. That's what I do. And it's okay to express and feel all of your fucking feelings. It really is. You know, and when people say you're too emotional, fuck off. When was the last time you cried? Never. And you're a big tense block of fucking toxicity. Anyway, sorry. But you know what I mean? Like, when people tell me they haven't cried in years, it hurts my heart. I'm like, how much pain are you holding inside you? You know what I mean? And like, you know, it's so healthy. Like, if you've got the flu or some kind of virus, you have to get it out of your system. You have to sweat it out of your system. The toxins have to come out of your body. We treat mental health like it's not the same as fucking physical health. It really is. It's like an open fucking wound, and it's going to get infected. And that infected toxicity is in your body, and it's seeping away inside you. And that's going to affect your physical health as well, if you actually don't face your stress and your emotions. So we have to get it out in some way. And, you know, if it comes out in anger, we end up hurting people or even ourselves. Because when I get fucking angry, I live on my own with my animals. But, like, you know, I get angry. And for that moment of anger, I hurt myself. So that's why I love to cry. I love crying. You know, it sounds weird. But I do. And, you know, I know it's gas when I'm going through a healing stage or, a purge. You know, I could watch a movie that I watched before. And that movie would have been sad before. But on one of the healing days, that movie is going to be sad the whole way fucking through it, and I will cry from start to finish. But that to me is so healthy. Like, you know, I remember the simple thing of watching a Disney movie or watching Moana 2 there lately. I was going through a lot of emotions, and I pressed play, and like they barely even said the first words, and I'm like, oh god, I know what's going to happen here. It's going to be so emotional. Oh my god! And the whole way through the movie, I was fucking crying. But I knew that was to get it out of my system. And like, you know, when I have a massive purge, it opens up for healthy things and healthy love to come in. That's the thing. We're letting go of stuff that's stuck within us. So by speaking about it or by crying it out, by screaming it out, we're letting it go. You know, we bottle our emotions up. We bottle our trauma up. We're like, we won't speak about it. That's fine. It's fine. I'm fucking fine. Jesus, you're not fine. Sorry, I fucking hate saying fine. Anyway. But, like, you know, we're bottling that shit up. That is toxic. It's the pressure cooker. It's going to explode. Or even that backpack full of rocks that I mentioned before. Your emotions are like a backpack full of rocks. If you don't, every time you pick out a rock and throw it away, that's like crying or telling someone your problems. It's that fucking simple. And then the backpack gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And then it's empty. You know, imagine feeling all that weight come off your shoulders. And it does feel like that. You know, when I have those massive, massive purges where I'm screaming and crying and having, I get headaches as well, just with this purge that I do be having. And I just, after it's done, it's like, oh yes, that's all gone. I'm free. And that's what it feels like. It really does. And I know the bigger the purge, the bigger the release. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the bigger, the more light I'll feel. You know, and I know, like, emotional clutter is like physical clutter. So if you're buying new clothes for yourself, for example, you're gonna have to get rid of the stuff that you don't wear, or the old stuff. You're gonna have to move things around or buy a new wardrobe. But anyway, if you've no room for a new wardrobe, you're gonna have to empty some things out to put some things in. So how are you supposed to welcome in abundance, love, opportunities, and all that kind of stuff into your emotional life if you're so fucking blocked up? If you've got all that trauma from past relationships, if you've all that childhood trauma still stuck in your system, you can't welcome in healthy love into your life in the form of friendships or romantic partners or otherwise if you've got no room. You need to make room. And this is it. This is the release of the past. It's saying goodbye to that old shitty fucking toxic energy in order to bring in healthy energy. And we cannot, it's just not possible to push healthy energy in on top of toxic energy. It doesn't work because there's no fucking room. There's just no room. So we need to be able to release the past through purging, through crying, through speaking. So in order to bring in the next bit, and don't be saying, oh, it's weak to be vulnerable, it's weak to cry. It's not weak to cry. It's not weak to open up and speak about it. It takes such strength. It takes such strength to ask for help. It really does. It really does. It takes power to open your mouth, use your voice, and ask somebody for help. And you're not even asking for help. You're just asking them for their ear. That's all. Someone to listen to. Because like sometimes you don't even need advice. You just need to get that shit out. And I'd be on the phone to my friend like for nearly an hour, and I just get the shit out of me. And it's just like, oh my God, I'd be sweating and everything. Like, just talking about stuff. And it's like, even the last time, or one of the last times, like, I ended up talking about a massive trauma that I had, which came out of randomly nowhere. And it was just like, oh, I had been kind of, I hadn't had the chance to speak to anyone about that. And it feels different that I've gotten to speak about it rather than holding it in. You know what I mean? As I said, I speak to myself every day. I have open dialogue every day. I'm going to have that therapy session with myself every day. But to be able to speak to my friend about that trauma was just like, fuck, that's just different. That's really different feeling, because it's completely out of my system now. You know what I mean? Because, when I'm talking to myself, I'm kind of, telling myself. So it's kind of still in this little cycle a little bit. I am getting it out. But it's just, a problem shared is definitely a problem halved. It really is. And it takes absolute superpowers to be vulnerable. And it's so healthy to cry. It really is. Like, what really bugs me is you see somebody crying and then somebody goes, oh, stop. You don't stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. You just don't need to cry. Stop crying. We need to normalize telling somebody it's okay to cry. If you see the next person crying, tell them it's okay. Let it out. Let it all out. Let it all out. Let it all out. It's healthy to cry. And you do the same. The next time you cry, instead of saying, I'm so sorry. You see these people on television, I'm so sorry for crying. What are you fucking sorry for? Cry, please cry. Please. Do you know what I mean? Why are you sorry for crying? And it's just like, I have to hold it back. No, you don't. It's like literally, it's like pushing toothpaste back into a fucking toothpaste thing. It just doesn't work. Like, I don't know. I heard that analogy before. It doesn't work. You're trying to push the tears back into your eyes. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? Let it flow. Let it go. Because that's what you need to do. Let it go. Let it flow. Please. And if you haven't cried in years, I don't care what you do to do it. Pinch yourself for something. Let it out. It's so healthy to cry. It really is. You know what I mean? And ask yourself that if you haven't cried in years. There's a reason for that, and it's not healthy. People are like, I haven't cried in years, I'm so strong. No. That's not healthy. That is not healthy. You need to ask yourself why you don't cry. There's a traumatic reason for that, and you need to address that. It's probably stems from your childhood and you're being told to shut up. But that's probably it, you know what I mean? So be emotional, cry, purge, be vulnerable, ask for help, speak to your friends, speak to a therapist, speak to a coach, whatever you do, get that shit out of your system. Because it's the only way you can truly move forward. It is so beneficial to your health to cry. It is so beneficial to your health to talk to people, to express your emotions, to express your feelings. You are not a burden to anyone. You're only a burden to yourself by not speaking and by not crying. So put yourself first and shed a tear. Put on that sad movie. Do you know what I mean? Cry through it. It's funny for me. I cry watching an action movie as well. I find emotion in everything. I love it. There's just messages and everything. I'd be watching a Marvel, like Spider-Man or something. But there's so many profound messages in those movies. It's like, with great power comes great responsibility. Anyway, that was a side note. But anyway, please go and have a cry for yourself. Go and have a scream for yourself. Go and talk to somebody. Being vulnerable is a superpower. You can do this. You have strength by being open. Remember that. It is not weakness. It is strength. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.